What I'll be sharing in this video is the exact system I used to score 262 on the real exam. Now let's get right into it. The approach I'll go over in this video is essentially a shotgun approach, where we order a lot more tests and treatments than what would be necessary or even recommended in real clinical practice. But this approach is heavily rewarded in CCS. To start out with, if you want to score well on the CCS section, you need to understand the grading criteria, which I've listed. The main scored components are 1. The appropriate physical exam and basic monitoring, 2. Diagnostic orders, 3. Your treatment plan, 4. Location and timing, which includes inpatient versus outpatient management, 5. Procedures and pre-op orders, and lastly, 6. Preventative care measures. We'll go over each of these along with acronyms to remember them in this video. First, read the chief complaint and case vignette. Think about your differential, then select what components of the physical exam you'd like to complete. My defaults are physical appearance, chest, lungs, heart, abdomen, and neuropsych. That being said, extra portions of the exam are almost always fine to add unless you're in an emergent, time-sensitive scenario. Now that you've performed the physical exam, you'll want to stabilize the patient. You can remember all your stabilizing orders with the acronym HAVOC, H-A-V-O-C. The H stands for hurting, which will be for your pain medications like morphine and acetaminophen. A stands for Access IV, IV fluids, AccuCheck, which are your glucose checks, and ABG. V stands for vitals with rechecks. O stands for oxygen, supplemental oxygen, pulse ox for monitoring, and naloxone, especially in altered mental status. C stands for cardiac, which is your EKG and cardiac monitors, and C can also stand for C-spine precautions in trauma scenarios. And the nice thing about this acronym is you can literally just enter all of these orders in at the same time. Now, after you've stabilized the patient, you can begin the diagnostic workup with diagnostic orders, which I remember with the acronym I bought a microbe. This stands for I, which is imaging. That'll be your standard imaging test for the scenario, like a CT head, chest x-ray, chest abdomen pelvis, echocardiogram, things like that. B stands for blood, which will be the majority of your labs and serum tests. O for other, the main other labs being cardiac enzymes and room labs, depending on the scenario. With O, I always stop and think, what additional labs might be helpful for this scenario? U stands for urine, so you'll want to obtain a UA or urinalysis in everyone and consider additional urine tests as well. G stands for gestation. You can get a urine or serum pregnancy test in every female patient of childbearing age. This is super high yield. It's free points. Do not miss this because it can actually ruin scenarios if you don't get the pregnancy test. H stands for hematologic, which includes PT or PTT, INR, D-dimer, and you can also trend hemoglobin and get a retic count if it's applicable. T stands for toxins. That's super useful for case of altered mental status, and that'll also include a U-tox, serum ethanol, and serum acetaminophen. Finally, microbe stands for your microanalyses or your microbial studies, which will be your blood cultures, urine cultures, and urine antigens, especially for strep pneumo or Legionella anytime you suspect pneumonia. Now that all your tests have been resulted, you should have a good idea about the treatment plan and inpatient admit orders if this patient needs to be admitted. Even if you don't, you can farm quite a few points just by remembering your ABCs, which happens to be the acronym for the next step. A stands for antibiotics, airway management, and activity orders. B stands for blood, which will be your IV fluids. C stands for CBC and BMP, which will be your daily labs if indicated. D stands for your diet order. E stands for elevating the head of the bed if they're in the ICU or intubated. F stands for Foley and monitoring urine output. That's super important. G stands for gastric, which includes orders like Zofran, NG-tube, PPI. And H stands for hurting, which includes analgesia while they're admitted, like acetaminophen. And finally, I stands for isolation orders for infectious diseases. Now, if it turns out your patient in this scenario will need a procedure, such as a surgery, let's say for cholecystitis, or maybe they need a PCI with stent for an MI, after your diagnostic workup, you'll need to actually place the procedure orders and the pre-op orders and perform the procedure yourself, which I know is a lot different than real clinical practice. The acronym for the pre-op procedure orders is NICE Patients, which is what we all hope to have someday. The acronym stands for N, which is NPO and NSS for pre-op fluids, I for informed consent, C for cefazolin, which is your pre-op antibiotic, E for EKG, P for PT/PTT, T for type and screen, and R for RH type if they're pregnant. And then S for surgery name, which is the name of the procedure that you will be performing. I always found this to be the funniest part of CCS because essentially in CCS you're acting as the primary team for a patient, which is generally something like internal medicine, right? But if a patient comes in with a acute coronary syndrome on the CCS exam, they also expect you to put in the orders for a PCI or percutaneous intervention with stenting. Even though you would probably never be the one doing that in real life, they expect you to do it for CCS. This gets even more hilarious when we talk about the next step, which is calling consults. So once you actually finish performing the procedure, you'll probably get a message that the patient's feeling significantly better or something like that. Hilariously, this is the point at which you'll call your consultants after all the work has been done. So for the example that we were using, let's say you completed a PCI with stent for a patient that came in for an MI. After you complete the intervention, then you'll put in a consult order for cardiology. If you try to put it in beforehand, they will say something like, the patient is not ready, we won't come see them yet. Or stabilize the patient, and then we'll evaluate them. Then after you do the PCI and you put in the order, they say, oh yeah, we'll be happy to see them. So it usually doesn't hurt to add more consultants, and if the consultant is unnecessary, they'll usually just say that they won't come see the patient at this time. Now finally, you'll get an end message saying the patient's improved, the consultant will give their recommendations, and then you'll get a case end screen. You might think your job is done there, but actually after the case end screen, you'll have more work to do. So you actually have 2 minutes. It's basically a 2-minute blitz where you have to put in additional orders for preventative care. And I typically separate this, in my mind, into vaccines and then a section on screening and counseling. If you use the method that I go over in the next few seconds, this will literally be the easiest points on the exam. It's the most free real estate ever. So for the vaccines, the acronym is PMIST, which are the standard adult vaccines, and that includes your pneumococcal, meningococcal, influenza, shingles, and Tdap vaccines. You don't really need to order these if the patient is fully vaccinated, but if you did, it probably wouldn't hurt. The next acronym is incredibly high yield, and you'll use this on literally every single case, and that acronym is PMC Crease. So what I think about to remember this acronym is a neutrophil, which of course is a PMN, short for polymorphonuclear leukocyte, and that has a crease down the middle. So remember, it's PMC Crease. This stands for, first of all, PMN. So PMN stands for Pap, mammogram, and colonoscopy, which are standard preventative screens. And then the Crease component stands for counseling regarding the diagnosis, reassurance, exercise program, alcohol cessation, and then a bunch of S's: safe sex, seatbelt, smoking cessation, and social work if applicable. And with that, you're done. So after you frantically type all those orders in, again, yeah, that's a lot to type for 2 minutes, so you'll probably want to practice that a few times. You'll be all done with the case. So this is basically the entire CCS system, and you'll just run through this 12 more times until you've methodically completed the CCS section of Step 3. So stay tuned for the next video where we run through a live case so you can see this in action with the feedback that I mentioned. And make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss it. Peace.
I've learned from my mistakes, and I'm trying to make it